everybody, welcome back to another episode of Earth's Mightiest Comics of the Show, where every episode we talk about some recent comics from the past week or two or so, and we let you know what we thought about them, whether or not we enjoyed them, and if we are recommending them to all of you. We have the next 4 issue of Absolute Power, got new issues of like Daredevil, Immortal Thor, The Ultimates, but we are going to start out with, in rare form, a random tie-in issue of Absolute Power. We're starting with Batman, number 152, written by Chip Zdarsky, and the artist is Mike Hawthorne. There is also a backup story, which I did read in this instance, which is written by Kelly Thompson, with the artist being Mattia DeLulis. Now, actually, I figure maybe we just knock the backup story out of the way first. Did you read the backup story?
It was pretty simple backup story, honestly.
Basically just the Birds of Prey doing Themyscira stuff. There's some ominous stuff about Sin potentially dying because the urn that Megara got partially sucked into or something, if it breaks, like, it'll kill her or something. And then Dinah goes on a mission to recruit Ollie, and that's kind of it. There's not much to say there.
Yeah.
But the main story here is it's Batman and Catwoman are still in this place that the boom tube has taken them to, which is this weird, like, pocket force field of Zarnia, where Lobo is from. So, you know, they're there, and the new Suicide Squad is also there. So Batman is kind of fighting all of them while Catwoman is trying to open the mother box and access it before the timer goes off. They think it's going to be a bomb, but actually what happens is that when that timer goes off, it just ends up shutting down all the kind of defenses around the mother box and activating a beacon. We will come back to that in a bit, but for the rest of this kind of core part of this issue, it's Bruce fighting a lot of the Suicide Squad, and I think this is it's a really good, I think, Batman fight, because it's Batman on the back foot, which I think works really well generally, because then it also, that's when I feel like he can show his resourcefulness the most. And I think, like, you see him kind of making plans on the fly and kind of having to outmaneuver everything. He's clearly, like, outmatched. And I think that is when Batman does work best. And so I thought that was a really cool fight. I liked it. I'm not a huge fan of the art here. Again, like, Mike Hawthorne as an artist is not an artist that I particularly enjoy, but I think it's functional for what it is. There's a good part where he, it's mostly just him kind of actually trying to just stay alive when facing Bizarro. Yeah. That's kind of the bigger thing. He manages to cut his arm off by, like, lowering the force field and then getting it back up when Bizarro is, like, punching through the wall of the force field. And then there's also, like, killer wasps that start flying towards them.
Well, the scorpion bat thing.
Oh, it was like flying killer scorpions. And so that's kind of, again, when that happens, Bruce is able to kind of redirect the fight and be like, hey, there's some killer scorpions flying this way. You guys should all run. Particularly, he knocks out Deadeye's faceplate. Deadeye was seeming like he was kind of being persuaded over to Bruce's side, because Bruce did say, like, hey, this is your family's fucking graves. Waller took them and sent them here. But I think Batman was also like, I don't have fucking, I can't worry about that right now. We need to get this situation resolved. So we just sent those scorpions there, like, busted the faceplate. And then the force field is down, and Catwoman comes out, having gotten access to the mother box, but they can't form a boom tube. And then we find out the beacon was calling out to none other than Darkseid, which I will just say, because Darkseid and Thanos are very similar characters. They are kind of the equivalent of each other in these universes. Darkseid was, as far as I'm aware, created first, so Thanos is kind of a Darkseid copy. But we are currently in the middle of a Thanos mini-event at Marvel, and just I couldn't help but compare the two entrances here, because when Thanos pops up there, it's like, okay, it's Thanos, I didn't really feel much of an impact. But when Darkseid,
he left that Thanos truck pretty impactful.
Honestly. Oh my god, the fucking Thanos truck. Regardless, though, when Thanos shows up in those books, I'm like, yeah, it's Thanos. All right, that's it's another Thanos issue. It's another Thanos appearance. But because Darkseid, I feel like, is not used very often. I mean, this is the first time since I have started recollecting, like, getting comics again as they drop, which was like summer of 2022 that I started doing that. So it's been over 2 years since I started doing that again. This is the first time Darkseid has shown up. And so when you just see that panel of him just standing there from quite a distance, and then it zooms in on his face, he doesn't say anything, it's fucking terrifying. Like, It's so good. I think the way that moment is built up to, and the way it's so imposing. He doesn't say anything, and he just fires off his Omega beams, and Bruce is like, oh shit. And so they managed to get a boom tube activated, and they jump through it, and the boom tube closes, and Bruce is just kind of sitting there like, what the fuck? And he says the line, which is fantastic. I think it really, again, sells the impact and intimidation of Darkseid, where he's like, he wanted to keep us alive. Like, if he had wanted to kill us, we would have been dead in a heartbeat. I think that sequence is so chilling and just genuine, the way it's built up to it and the way it's executed. Fantastic stuff. And so it's also like it makes this feel actually less like an absolute power issue than it does for this upcoming, because for those who are not aware, DC's about to relaunch their universe, kind of. I mean, continuity is staying the same, but they're not rebooting it, but they're relaunching it. So kind of providing a new jumping on point for a lot of readers. It's called DC All In, and we do know that Darkseid is going to play a fairly big role in that in some capacity. We don't know what that is yet, but this seems to be building up to that, and it's done like brilliantly, I think. I do think, like, I find it unlikely that plot point will kind of have a big impact on this book, but I think the way it's set up here is great. And then kind of Bruce and Selina have a really nice kind of moment on this island where they get popped out. Really great character moment stuff that I think really works super well here, especially after their near-death experience. And that's kind of the issue. And so I have been, I think, more favorable towards this run because we're doing some new stuff, and it maybe doesn't feel all entirely fresh. And actually, most of it's been tie-in stuff because of, the fact that Absolute Power has been going on since then. But I do think that, like, it feels like Chips and Archie is able to kind of do some more stuff now. And I really appreciate that. And I really like kind of how that's been kind of started to roll forward on its own. That Darkseid build up and intro really just sells this issue and kind of makes the entire thing feel so weighty when otherwise it maybe wouldn't have. So back to story, I didn't take it or leave. It was fine. They're setting some stuff up in Birds of Prey, which we'll get to in a little bit later down the line. But I think, as far as the core issue goes here, it's very solid. I'm happy to be just straight up enjoying a Chip Zdarsky Batman thing without constantly being like, oh god, well, Sir and Failsafe are around. So I like this, and I think it's a pretty solid one.
No, yeah, I think this one was pretty good, actually. I think it was fine. Like, it felt, the fight with Batman and, like, us seeing him, like, against so many people, again, felt very Batman, or, like, original Batman, where he's just, like, constantly, like, against the ropes, and he has to, like, basically think about each individual opponent, like, very differently and stuff like that. Like, with Bizarro, he had to, like, be, like, basically always on his toes, like, always dodging. He could never really actually do anything against him. There was, oh god, I'm forgetting his name.
There's Deadeye, there's Gunsmith.
Deadeye, that's the one. He feels a lot like a Deadshot type beat, and so, like, Batman has to, like, face him off, like, I would say, like, kind of most difficult-ish. Gunsmith was, like, a joke, essentially, but, like, Deadeye and Bizarro obviously were, like, the bigger ones. And then, yeah, with the the whole Darkseid bit towards the end was just, that one was what really just, like, set this one over the top for me. Just how menacing Darkseid is in this one. Like, well, as soon as, Bruce realizes what that beacon meant from the boom tube, and he was like, all right, we got it. Like, he just says, run. And, Selina's like, who is that? And Bruce is just like, he's death. Like, we don't mess with this. And so, yeah, like you said, when he finally got to the island, and Bruce was like, if he wanted us to keep us alive, like, if he wanted us dead, we would be dead. Because I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, I think we saw Gunsmith just get incinerated by an Omega beam. I think I picked up on that one. I'm not too sure. I could be, like, recalling that wrong, but yeah, just the way. And then, like, when it, like, just pans to Darkseid just in the back, and he's just, like, there, just like smirking. It's just, they did such a good job with Darkseid. And it's like you said, like, for me as well, just like Thanos at this point just feels like I feel like they just overuse him on, like, way too much, because, like, it's like, yeah, because, like you said, like, Darkseid just still feels menacing, like, because they don't use him that much, because they know how, like, honestly, just, like, if they overuse him, just how strong he is and all that stuff, like, it gets old very fast. Like, Thanos' whole shtick is, like, Infinity Stones, and past that, it's really nothing else. Like, that's pretty much it. So yeah, so for them to be using Darkseid here pretty soon, I'm very excited for it. This issue was pretty good. Had pretty good action, And yeah, it just ended very, very, very well with the whole character development between Bruce and Selena thing going on at the end there as well. So yeah, I this was a pretty good read for me. So yeah, overall I'd probably give it a 7, honestly. Pretty high.
I'm gonna
7
give it an
here.
8. That's maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. 8's maybe a little bit inflated, but I do think that that it just kind of all came together, especially right at the end, and really delivered a pretty solid issue there. All right. Well, I guess that would lead us to Absolute Power number 3, written by Mark Waid, and the artist is Dan Mora. This is the second to last issue of Absolute Power, the core series. Right off the bat, maybe my favorite cover of the week. I love that fucking cover, man. It's so cool. So this issue, I feel like it kind of started to get a little bit out of control. This is the one where it felt like it kind of started to collapse under the weight of its own ambition, because there's a lot of stuff happening here, and I kind of was like, okay, who's where and what are they doing, and why is, like, what's so, like, I don't know. It's essentially like everybody's on Themyscira. Nightwing kind of sends a bunch of people out to different areas. It's like, all right, here's all your missions, go, go, go. We kind of mostly see the only kind of one of these missions, which is it's like Red Tornado and some other people going and trying to get the dude who's like a time travel guy. Commander is his name.
Time Commander.
Yeah, the one who was working with Waller. So they kind of go and they manage to get him out of there. And then we have John attacks the Themyscira. Is able to find it, and John and the Brainiac Queen go and attack Themyscira. And there's a fight there, and then John is able to shake off the Brainiac Queen's control. Barry ends up going and doing something, but he goes and I think he gets to Gamora, I believe, where he sees a portal open and out comes, or maybe I don't know if he actually sees the portal open, but he finds out that Waller is amassing this multiversal army to come and destroy the all the major big characters of the DC universe. And that's where that issue ends. I don't know if I have that much to say on it, primarily because it did feel a tad chaotic and not in a way that I really vibed with. Like, it was fine, but I do think, like, the chaos of the previous issues, like, it was chaotic, but I was still able to kind of sort through it all and make sense of it and kind of, follow what was going on. This one, I was kind of like, I was pretty lost. I was like, I don't know what the fuck is going on here. So, I think, like, it's not bad, certainly, but I did think, like, it was a little bit just kind of overwhelming. The action was fine, I guess. I am a little bit concerned about the fact that they're just like, multiverse army at the end. I'm like, okay, hold on, what? Especially because that could, I think, lead to next issue feeling even more chaotic and potentially rushed. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure where I land on this. I do think this is definitely the weakest issue of Absolute Power so far, at least of the core event. I still don't think it's bad, and Dan Moore's art is terrific as always, but I do think that overall this one did leave me feeling a little bit disappointed, whereas before I was like, really, like, this is the fantastic, like, absolute just fucking W of an event. I am now a little bit more reserved about where this event could be going in the future as it comes to its conclusion.
No, okay, yeah. This one, I can see why you say it's chaotic. It goes through a lot, honestly. I don't really know how to go about explaining it. I mean, all right, so it mentions finally the whole like Velocity and Jadestone, like,
yep
personality. And so Waller mentions that, and like that they're not working at like 100% capacity, and so Failsafe is actually the one that mentions that, like, they've absorbed, like, the power they've absorbed. I guess it was like too much or whatever, and like, yeah, so they've absorbed some of their ideologies and whatever. But Failsafe just, like, does like a soft reset, and I guess that fixed it. We didn't actually see if it fixed it. It's just he says it's supposed to have fixed it. And then, yeah, some mysterious dude started talking to the Flash. He tells him to go to Gamora Island, and when Flash gets there, he knows that Amanda Waller has his, like, multiverse map or whatever. And then what else? Yeah, the battle on Themyscira. The whole reason they found it is because of Red Tornado. I think that's what Brainiac Queen was said, but, like, since he's an AI, she, like, basically just, like, tapped into him and they found where they were. Yep, John shook off the Brainiac Queen virus thing. She, who was it? John also shook Brainiac's Queen's like memories and like basically tried to turn her on Waller. We'll see what happens with that one. And yeah, and then everybody else is back from their own individual missions. Batman's back from, the island or whatever. Superman and Zatanna are back getting that what was that, the Black Book or something like that? I don't remember.
They're trying to walk the dark paths.
The dark paths, yeah, that thing. They figured out how to do that. And so so now everybody is back together finally again. And so that's where it's gonna. That's where we're going from there. I think the next one's the last one, right? Number 4.
Yeah.
So I don't really know how to rate this one, honestly. I think it was fine. I don't really know how to rate this one though, because it's like it wasn't good, it wasn't bad, like it was just a lot thrown at you at once, but like it like went over a lot of things from the tie-ins that like we kind of have been like questioning, really, like why Velocity and Jadestone are acting so weird, although we kind of figured it out why that was happening and how that was going to get resolved. I don't know. It was fine. It felt kind of meaningless because it didn't really answer like anything, honestly.
Yeah.
It just gave us a lot more questions. Like we at least know that Superman's son, isn't it John, right?
Yeah.
Like we know he's fine. I genuinely thought like that Brainiac virus was like a lot more severe or whatever. Like he was gonna be like part cyborg now, but nah, it's just he's fine. Yeah, I think it's fine. I don't know. Let's see. What should I give this? 7? Low 7? 7?
I'm giving it a 6. Yeah. I was kind of hovering between a 6 or a 7. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of overstuffed a little bit for me. And I'm kind of surprised it took this long for that to happen, actually. But I did feel it here. So hopefully it ends well, but I'm a little bit less confident about the finale of this event now. All right. Well, you know what? While we're here, let's just do Moon Knight Annual.
Oh, okay.
This is Moon Knight Annual number 1, written by Dan Waters, the main story at least, with the badge of story being written by Derek Landy. And then the artist on the main story is Marco Renna, and the artist on the badge of story is Sarah Pichelli. So this thing, again, like this event to me is just the epitome of corporate kind of cynical cash grab Marvel, just being like, let's just do kind of an event for the sake of it, just to, boost sales or whatever. However, I do think, like, obviously the clearest point of comparison is Contest of Chaos from last year, and this is leagues better than that. So it's interesting because I've never really been excited for any of these Infinity Watch issues. However, I've kind of liked most of them. Not all of them, but most of them. And this issue is written by Dan Waters, who is a fantastic writer, more or less. And so I like this issue a lot. Actually, this is probably my favorite issue of the event so far. Maybe I know Sebastian hated this one, but I really like the Immortal Thor one.
God. Bad.
Regardless, though, I've only actively disliked, I think, one of these issues so far. So this issue is essentially Colleen now has the Mind Stone, and so she is kind of like getting overwhelmed by its power a little bit. She's got all these, dreams and stuff kind of flowing through her head. So she passes out and sends out these kind of, it's birds with the faces of people. It's part of like Egyptian mythology to Moon Knight. So Moon Knight sees them, goes to where Colleen is, and then we find out that Colleen is actually running from dream to dream, passing through dreams of all these different people. It seems to be mostly hospital patients who are in the room with her.
Yeah.
She's running through all these dreams, being chased by Nightmare, who, we haven't talked about Nightmare that much. Well, actually, he popped out of Avengers not that long ago, so we have talked about him a little bit. Nightmare's my favorite Doctor Strange villain. I think he's awesome. So immediately I was like, oh man, Dan Waters writing a Moon Knight issue where Nightmare's involved. That is a fantastic combination. So Colleen runs out of dreams to run into. She hits just a door that is bricked over, and then that door transforms into an elevator with the Moon Knight symbol on it. Fantastic imagery, so cool. When I saw it, I was like, oh, let's fucking go. So then Mark pops out. Mark has also passed out. He has been, folded into unconsciousness, and is now, his dream is accessible from Colleen. So essentially, Colleen and Mark kind of team up a little bit, and also not only that, but Mark's alters Jake and and Steven get involved. I fucking love when Jake is trash talking Nightmare, he just fucking breaks a bottle over the bar and just is like ready to fucking stab him. I was like, that's so great. So yeah, they kind of all essentially kick Nightmare out of Mark's mind and into the real world. Because it's also like Mark Mates mentioned, like he may not even, none of the alters may even run their mind right now collectively. Because there's a great image of Nightmare falling into the eye hole of the Khonshu skull. So it all overwhelms Nightmare. Nightmare pops out, and then Colleen is able to tap into the power of the Mind Stone, and then she stabs him, and that's that. So the backup story then, I actually think this is the best of the backup stories so far, because it's Coulson taking on the role of Death kind of fully. He goes to this elderly man who's dying in a hospital, and just has this nice kind of conversation with him. It's a really quiet, nice character moment. I think it's really effective. This is not something that is really new. Like, we have seen this conversation between Death and a dying person many times in many different iterations across many different forms of media, but I think it works very well here. And then it turns out that his mind is kind of fractured, so going around collecting the souls of the dead, but also he's still in the room with Fury and Nighthawk, and is killing Nighthawk, and Fury's like, stop it, you're killing Nighthawk, and then they leave. So yeah, just like really solid. I, again, am continuing to be impressed by this event. It's not mind-blowing, certainly. I don't think this is like the best thing ever, but I think I went into this whole event so just expecting it to just be Contest of Chaos again, but with a different kind of plot.
No, I think you went into this bad because you didn't like Thanos' truck. And honestly, that was a mistake.
Listen, it didn't help that the previous Thanos run was bad, but I do think that, like, the comparison point between this and Contest of Chaos, I think, did unfairly kind of set it off behind for me. But I just, it's been a fun event. It's not been anything mind-blowing, but again, outside of that Amazing Spider-Man annual issue, I haven't really disliked any of these. I think it's been good. I like it, and I like this issue. It's one of my favorites of the event so far, and I think the event's been pretty solid. So part of that's because I like Moon Knight, sure, but I also just think, like, Dan Waters is a good writer, and he's writing Moon Knight well. I also think the art's very good. It actually feels very, very in line with the art that is over in Moon Knight's own book. So it made it feel very consistent with that, which I also appreciate. I think that really helped kind of bring this together in a more cohesive fashion. And so, yeah, just very solid issue. I like this quite a lot, actually.
All right, yeah. I'm the same boat, except I've actively disliked the Thor one.
Which is, by the way, that's bullshit, Sebastian. I'm sorry. I just gotta say it.
The fact that you didn't like the Spider-Man one is dumb. So, whatever.
That Immortal Thor issue is fantastic. I don't care what you say. I love it.
Terrible. It's so bad. But anyway, yeah. Overall, this event has genuinely surprised me. I didn't think I'd only so far disliked one, honestly.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I thought I'd like a couple, like Contest of Chaos. I remember, like,
I had like two of those that I liked, I think.
Yeah, like genuinely, where I was like two of them, where I was like, yeah, that felt pretty good. Because I remember when it started, I was like, that felt underwhelming. Like, I thought there was gonna be an actual fight. Like this one obviously is not pertaining to, like, obviously the cover, like Colleen versus Moon Knight. That cover kind of looking, like they're fighting, but that's not what I was expecting. I'll say. But, like, I don't know. I was generally expecting to, like, dislike more of these, and I really haven't. I think these have been pretty solid for what they are. Especially this one. I still like Colleen's character for in this one. I would say is a bit different from the last one, but that's understandable considering she's, like, with the Mind Stone now compared to, like, the last one where she, like, started out not with the Mind Stone.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, I like this one. I liked Nightmare's role in this one compared to Avengers. I actually liked in this one. He felt useful, unlike the Avengers. What else? The whole him traveling into Moon Knight's basically dream, and then him meeting, like, the other two personalities, and that's how he got, like, essentially shoved out of the dream world and had to go to the physical world in order to get the Mind Stone. I thought that was, clever, I guess. I don't know what the word would be, but yeah, I thought it was just clever, I'll say. And I really liked I liked it. I liked this one. This is pretty good. Yeah, what do I give this? Do I like this? Do I like it better than Batman? Oh man, that Darkseid, pretty good. I'm gonna give it a 7 again. Yep.
I'm gonna even 8 again. Yeah, I think it's pretty good, and 8 feels like a good spot for it for me. I will say next issue, I'm a little bit skeptical of next issue. Next issue is the Spider-Man annual, or it's not Spider-Man, Spider-Boy annual.
Yeah.
I have not read anything of Spider-Boy, and it's not a character that I really am interested in at all. So I don't know about that one, but genuinely, this event has been pretty solid so far.
Yeah. All right. Birds of Prey.
All right. This is Birds of Prey number 13, written by Kelly Thompson, and as always, there's more than one artist on this. Actually, scratch that. No, there's not. This is the one instance where there's not more than one artist on this book. It's just Gavin Guidry here. So I told Sebastian this before the show. I'm gonna drop this book.
He's abandoning yet another series that he has, for the most part, enjoyed.
I'm gonna stop you right there because kind of that's true, but I will say, right, even so, okay, first arc, right, I would say I largely enjoyed, but I thought it was very inconsistent. The issues of that arc that I liked, I loved, but the issues of that arc that I didn't like, I really didn't like. Then we had that kind of interlude 2-issue kind of mini arc in between, which I did really like. However, this arc, I would say, has been very consistent, but I think it's just been consistently just middle of the road mediocre. And for me, right, where I kind of fall with this show right now is that we have a lot of series, because we do this, that we kind of feel like we have to read to kind of keep up to date with the large kind of overall picture of the Marvel and the DC universe, right? As a result, we're reading a lot of books that I don't necessarily like or don't necessarily love, right? So when I did a book like this that does not seem to be really all that connected to the main picture of the DC universe, that book has to be amazing at this point for me to keep reading it, because we're reading a lot, you know? So I'm trying to hit down on some of this stuff, and when we get a series that's not super looped into something that I don't feel like is amazing, then I feel like I can drop that, then I feel like I'll drop that, and so that's what I'm gonna do with this series. However, I will say, like, are you planning to continue with this series, Sebastian?
I mean, I don't know. I think I'll give it, like, the new series, the new arc, like, I'll give it a shot, I guess. I don't know. That's probably what I'll do. I'll just give it a read, check it out.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of back and forth. I was on the fence the entire time reading this issue, being like, "Hey, should I read the next issue and give that new arc a try?" Because I have liked some of this. I've really liked some of this series, but ultimately after the ending of this issue, which we'll get into, I just decided, no, I'm gonna drop it. I will keep reading it, but I'll just read it on DC Universe Infinite, so I'll be a month behind, but I will keep reading it. I probably won't review it if Sebastian stops reading it, but like if he does read it, I might give my brief thoughts on the prior issue before he does his full review of it. But regardless, I am gonna be dropping this book. I know I mentioned that I might be doing that last time this series popped up. I am definitely dropping this book. So regardless, the plot here, it is at the end of the last issue, they jumped into the new portal, and Cass took them to Spirit World inside this, this pocket dimension that they're in. And so they kind of just beat up Maya for a while. That's kind of their plan, as they beat her up for a while, and then they manifest the sisters, all of the other sisters of Maya, and they all kind of chase her, and that freaks Maya out, so she opens the portal to the real world, and they can all get back to the real world. From there, there's another big fight there, and then Maya opens the portal again and goes back into the pocket dimension. And that's the point where, before that, I was like, this is fine. It's a big fight. It's fine. It's nothing kind of crazy. It's whatever. This, though, when she flees back into the portal, it felt weird. I will say, right before she went into the portal, there is a good moment between Maya and her sister that I think was genuinely quite good, where Maya was like, hey, you say you're trying to kill Batgirl because, Batgirl kills our mom in the future, but, since you've gotten the time travel stuff, you haven't gone back to try and stop her from being murdered. You just wanted to get all the power for yourself and become a supervillain. That was good. I think that was a genuinely good character moment that the two had there, and probably is the best part of the issue. But then Maya leaves through the portal again, and it's kind of just everybody's just kind of wah wah. It's a very oh no, she escaped. It felt like a weird sitcom all of a sudden. I was like, what the fuck is this? This is totally really weird. And then so they kind of walk out and they're like, let's go get some Greek food. They just kind of forget about it immediately. John Constantine, he's there. He doesn't do fucking anything, but he's like,
literally nothing.
Yeah, he's like, I managed to get one thing of magic onto Maya so that if she ever comes back to the real world again, it'll alert the birds of prey so that, they don't get taken by surprise. And then they're like, oh, you got to see, they get a ping, a notification, presumably, as Sebastian pointed out to me before the show, about absolute power, which I didn't realize that. But, and then it's like, all right, we gotta go and do absolute power stuff now, I guess. So yeah, I mean, I've kind of already said a lot of what I had to say about this issue before the plot breakdown, but I do think a couple other weird things. First of all, the issue, it's fine. I think the, first 2/3 or first 3/4 even are pretty good, or, decent at least. Decent enough that I was still kind of questioning whether or not I should pick up the next issue. But then that last, quarter-ish of the issue just felt weird and tonally kind of out of place, to the point where I was like, okay, I don't feel the need to pick up the next issue, actually. And it is a shame, because I have, again, as mentioned, liked a decent amount of the series. And so that's why I am going to keep reading it on DC Universe Infinite, just a month behind. But I just think, there's a lot of comics, and this one's not kind of setting itself to this incredible standard right now. So the other thing that's weird, they made a big deal out of Xanthi being in this series at the end of the last issue, and they also have nothing to fucking do. There's a brief moment where you can just kind of see them jumping around and wielding the spirit world sword, but that's kind of it, which is especially weird considering this issue takes place within a spirit world stuff. It's very heavily linked into Cass's time in spirit world without doing much with the star of that book. So I don't know, that was weird as well. But yeah, regardless, overall, it's fine. I wish the best for this series. I do like the creative team, and I have liked a good amount of this series to this point, but ultimately this one is it's not doing it for me anymore. This arc, I think, has just been okay throughout, and before that even it was still inconsistent. So I'm gonna drop it, and it's a bummer, but yeah, I thought this was fine, just kind of as I have with the rest of this arc.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, man, generally what an underwhelming finish, honestly.
Yeah.
Just the fact that what was her name? Maya, right? Maya.
Yep.
Yeah. Maya. Yeah,
I don't
Maya.
remember her sister's name, but yeah, the villain's name is Maya. Yeah.
Seleno.
Sure.
I don't know. That's what it says.
Oh
here,
yeah,
dude.
no, it does say that. Yeah.
Seleno. Yeah, just what an underwhelming finish is the fact that Maya just literally just escapes at the very end. I was just like, man, that's such an underwhelming finish. This just very big, huge enemy that they have been fighting this entire time and not really understanding and trying to she just leaves. It's just that sucks. And then Constantine as well was just completely useless. He didn't throw magic once that entire time. Basically being we're fighting a god. I don't want to say this, but even with our team, we might need reinforcements. And then for her to just leave and him being I actually cast a tracking spell. What? When? We just saw you standing there complaining. What the? Okay. I'm gonna slam my door, damn. Jesus.
I'm gonna edit that to make it louder.
No, but overall, this arc was just very underwhelming, honestly. I think it had some interesting bits towards the end, towards in it, with the whole world jumping bit and whatever, and kind of getting different art styles and stuff like that. There was, a lot of uninteresting bits in it as well. Genuinely, honestly, I could really care less about the whole Maya and Batgirl killing mother feature bit. They really drove. No, they just really. I felt for some parts they really droned on that whole topic. I was just man, this kind of sucks. And then the way they found Batgirl, I know I complained about that. I think it was last issue.
Yeah, that was dumb.
Super easy. It was just what the. All right. I don't know. Overall, I think this arc was just very underwhelming and just kind of a letdown in the end, honestly. So yeah, overall, I'd probably give this. Honestly, I'd probably give this a 5.
I think it's a 6 for me. But yeah, it's not great. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do Rook Exodus. This is Rook Exodus number 5, written by Jeff Johns, and the artist is Jason Fabok. So this is kind of the moment where the main character, he's at his low point, right? In this case, he's just been pushed off a waterfall by a giant bear man. And so this is the point where he has that kind of big, rising kind of training arc kind of thing. Not training arc too much, but a big kind of, a second wind, if you will,
Yeah.
ending in like a triumphant moment. So this one essentially, yeah, he's been pushed off the waterfall. He gets dragged off out of the water seemingly. It's a little weird. It's kind of tricky to tell what is real and what's not in this issue to a degree, specifically in this very first part, because it seems like he's pulled out by Pumbaa, the lead boar from Swine's guys, except Pumbaa is talking to Rook, which, by the way, there's some fun lines in there. I really like their kind of back and forth. It's brief and not real. It's a hallucination. We know that much for sure on that part.
Yes.
But I think it's just fun. I like the way they interact. And essentially, Pumbaa's kind of also kind of taunting Rook while also kind of trying to keep him alive. There's a fire that gets set in the trees, and Pumbaa's kind of saying, like, the crows don't run because they're cowards. They're running because you're a coward, Rook.
Yep.
And they kind of it flashes back and goes more in depth a little bit about the incident where Rook's family farm burned down. Pumbaa, which is probably presumably some kind of manifestation of Rook's consciousness, is telling him that it wasn't actually his father didn't try to save the farm. He was the one who set the farm on fire for like an insurance payout or something.
No, it was just the fact that the earth was dying. And so he wanted to flee it as well. And so
that's also true, yeah. And so, but then it turns out that, like, Rook is like, no, I know he didn't do that. He tried to save the farm. He tried to save all the animals on it. And then so they're trying to kind of run and escape the fire, and they get to this other cliff. And the entire issue has been talking about fight versus flight, right? The human response. And so he's reconnecting to the crows, and he's like, no, it's not fight versus flight. It's not fight or flight. He's like, I am fight and flight. And he falls off, he jumps off the cliff, and he seemingly starts turning into a bird. I don't know if that's actually what happened.
Yes.
There's one panel where it looks like his face gets replaced by an actual crow's head. Then he wakes up. Pumbaa is there, so presumably still did drag him out of the water, but is not talking or anything. And then Rook gets the helmet back on, and he's like, all right, let's fucking go. I'm gonna fucking kill these guys, and I'm gonna kill Ursa, rather, and I'm gonna save this planet. I'm not gonna run this time. I'm going to try and make sure all the animals, are saved and everything. And that's the end of the issue. So just again, and I've said this before, I think, but this is just so clearly the best Ghost Machine book right now. I like Redcoat, but Redcoat is not as good as this. This is just, so clearly above and beyond that. I think this is a really good character building issue for Rook, and also provides a good kind of real kickstarting of his character arc, which has been building for this whole time, of him kind of just wanting to abandon this planet and everything, to now then have it the other way, and him wanting to, really go and save the planet and all the animals and everything on it. I do think I maybe would have liked to see that character arc be spaced out over a little bit more than just one issue. Like, it works fine here, but I do think that this is something, up until this point, he hasn't really kind of had anything that makes it seem like he's going to stay on the planet. It's kind of all just been him trying to escape it. So I think having it happen all condensed, that whole character arc into one issue, maybe a little bit rushed, but not by a huge amount. I think it still works fairly well in context. And again, as always, incredible art from Jason Fabok here. It's just really fantastic across the board. Every panel is just fantastic. I kept staring at the pages, just like, this is incredible. And yeah, I don't have much to say besides that. Just a really solid I kind of liken it in my head to like a Rocky training montage. That's not the best comparison, but it's kind of the way that I look at it. And I think it's a really solid, just kind of, building up of the main character before the final like climactic confrontation, presumably next issue. So very solid issue. And yeah, it's very good.
No, yeah, I thought this was a very solid issue. I love the Rook how he like basically finally learned how to like use his helmet essentially, and how to like communicate with the crows or whatever. With the whole flashback thing. Like, when I was first reading this, I thought he had somehow, like, with the swine helmet, he somehow got acquired like that, powers, quote unquote, obviously, because it's not really powers, it's more technology than anything. But like, I thought he somehow connected with the swine helmet, but also the crow helmet, so I thought he was gonna be able to like do both. But then, we realized obviously that that's not the case, that it was just like kind of a hallucination from the helmet itself or whatever, because of the whole
Ursa taking the thing or whatever, the main computer battery thing or whatever.
The world engine.
World engine, that thing. Yeah. But yeah, I think this was pretty good. It was very good. The whole character building moment with Rook, and him finally accepting the crows or whatever, fight and flight whole spiel, whatever. I'm interested to see now finally how he utilizes the crows, because before he's always used them as surveillance as type thing, so he could run away and stuff. So I'm interested to see how he's gonna utilize them now that he knows he understands it better. And what else? Art still great. I think just the way that you just are able to write this story, and just it's explained so well compared to the other two, where I don't enjoy them nearly as much as this one. They do such a good job of explaining this the world and the entire just background of the characters and just the characters themselves, But still really like this series. Very excited to see how this goes forward. But I'd give this 8.
I'm gonna give it a 9. I think just barely,
9.
but I do think it was just good enough for me to give it that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Seems like I'm rating everything. Everything 1 star higher than you, except for Absolute Power, which I rated 1 star lower.
Lower, yeah. All right. Anyway, let's go to Daredevil number 13.
Okay, this is Daredevil number 13. It is written by Saladin Ahmed, and the artist is Chris Campana. Right off the bat, this is a fill-in artist. I don't like the art in this one. Something about it just doesn't work for me. Particularly the faces, I think.
Yeah, it's for me, that's where I really noticed it. It was the faces. Yeah.
Yeah. So this issue feels like more of an in-between issue than I thought it would. Because last issue had the huge cliffhanger of Fisk begging Daredevil to cleanse him through his, priest role. And I will say, I think the first couple pages where Matt is kind of trying to read this and debate on whether or not to do it, ultimately just saying I fucking can't. I can see Fisk is actually genuine. He is so clearly genuine here, and it is my job to do this, but I can't. And he just runs off. I thought that was good, actually. I liked that. I think that was a good character moment that really showed Matt's just kind of what the fuck is happening, which then turned into fear, because out of all the times that he and Fisk have come up against each other, this is new. This has not happened to him before, and that terrifies him. And I think that's great. So then after that, Matt kind of doesn't do a lot for a while. I mean, Elektra talks to him and is like, what the fuck are you doing, man? But she's like, okay, I'll keep an eye on Fisk, and you go look for Jason and the others, because there's stuff going on there. Cut to those guys. They are running from the demon, and they go to this next door area. This one guy, I believe his name is Patricio or something. So he's kind of there. All the kids from the youth home, they all go running over there to try and ask for help, because Javi is trying to take down that demon. And this dude, I love, without missing a beat, he pulls out a gun and just starts loading, and he's like, all right, let's fucking go. I actually the character moments like that, with Javi getting the baseball bat last issue and being like, let's fucking go. And this guy just, I'm kind of digging the supporting characters that they're in this run, where there's just immediately no hesitation. They're like, all right, let's fucking kill a demon. So he goes over there to the youth home to try and find Javi, and Javi has been stabbed through the chest. It is unclear if he's going to survive, but Sebastian, do you finally believe that Javi is not the fucking devil or whatever? It's not him.
Hey, I mean, we don't know. We don't know. He could have done it to himself. All right, to
throw everybody off.
The sense off.
I knew that was going to be your explanation. Literally, when I was reading this, I was like, okay, Sebastian's going to say, well, he probably did this to himself so that he could throw everybody off the fact that he's actually the demon.
And then Daredevil comes, Matt comes in with the Daredevil costume, and he's like, who did this to you?
Yep.
Yep. And then he goes back out and tries to find the boy. I think his name was Jason.
And then one thing. Okay, I will say one thing that I'm finally I'm very happy that we are going to.
Oh, I know what this is.
forward. Yes.
Yeah, I know what you're gonna say.
This
Yeah,
has been the biggest complaint of I know of mine. At least. I can't remember if it was one of yours.
it is
but,
absolutely not the biggest complaint I have with this.
not one of the biggest, but it was a very. I don't know. It was a very big thing for me where I kept saying that like he doesn't understand, like he doesn't really know who he wants to be, and it seems like finally moving forward, he is finally just completely taking up the mantle of Daredevil again. Like, because at the end of this issue, we see him burning his priest clothes. He's like being reborn in fire or whatever is what he called it.
Yeah. I've never really had a problem with him kind of being split between the priesthood and Daredevil. That's always. In fact, I've actually usually defended the series for that because I could see that was going somewhere. As for this issue, it's fine. It's I don't think it's bad. I think it is I think it's solid enough. I like the beginning scene quite a bit. I like some of the side character stuff. I don't know, the whole scene of Matt barging in and Hobby being there on the floor almost dead. Like, I didn't really care about that, honestly. That was, I don't know. Like, Hobby's a fine character, I guess, but I have no real...
He's evil.
Okay, if you say so. I have no real investment in his story really all that much. I don't know. I do think also, like, the cliffhanger of this issue is less immediately making me go, like, oh, what's going to happen in the next issue? Like, this one, I'm like, okay. I mean, that's cool, I guess, that he's burning his priest clothes and everything, but it's whatever. It's not hooking me in like some of the previous cliffhangers have. But honestly, I don't have that much to say about it. My thoughts with this are remaining consistent. If you've listened to me talk about this series before, I feel the same way. I don't think it's terrible, and I do think there's potential here. I do think there's good ideas here, and I am actually very interested to see where the Fisk story goes. I know Sebastian does not feel the same way, but I am. So I don't know. Again, it's fine. I don't dislike it, but it's not blowing me away still ultimately.
No, 100%. It's very fine. I think I will say Kingpin acting the way he was in this one it threw me off so much. I was like, I don't know whether to like this or not because it's so different and it's just not a Kingpin that like, anybody is used to, where he's like groveling at like the feet of someone else, and like asking for forgiveness and all that stuff, and it's just weird. It's very weird. Like, obviously I understand it genuinely, whatever, but like it was just weird. Besides that, everything else was just fine. Father Javi, faking his own death or whatever, throw off the devil scent or whatever. We saw that coming, honestly.
Oh God, man.
Yeah, ultimately, I really don't have it. Like, this one was just like, it was fine, I guess. Like, this series is still just like, it's like, for me, it's had its good points, and then it's had its not good points. And right now, I'm just like, we're at a not good point right now. I'm not really super into it, honestly. So, yeah, 6.
I think I'm actually going to tentatively give this a 7. Granted, this was the first thing I read this week, so I don't remember it as well as some of the others, but so maybe that's why it's not lower. But actually, I was just while you were going through that a little bit there, I was just going through some of the reviews on this issue. I thought that people largely really liked this run. It does not look like it. I'm seeing a lot of negativity towards towards this. Yeah. So it seems like actually we are, because I think at the start this was more positively received, but I think we're no longer the only people who feel this way about this series. So yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't even want. I see people saying like, I don't know if Solid Anama should stay on this book. I don't know that I would go that far. I do think there's still some good ideas here, and I want this series to be better, but this is just kind of not doing it right now. Okay, Sebastian, how about we do a little book here called Scarlett? This is written by Kelly Thompson, and the artist is Marco Ferrari. This is a book that kind of always blends together for me. I kind of think I largely remember what happened. It's mostly so the gang has infiltrated the building fully, and now we get this brief moment where the weapon that they're trying to get, it moves. Right as they're about to get it, it gets like pulled into the floor and moved to a different area. So Storm Shadow's like, all right, let's go to a different floor where a bunch of guards are amassing and get the weapon back. So Storm Shadow goes down there. Very cool sequence where he's just absolutely mowing through a shit ton of dudes. Like, it's so cool. While that is happening, Scarlett and Jinx are kind of having a heart-to-heart. The first one they're able to have because Jinx is able to EMP the building, so they have some time to talk to each other. And essentially, Jinx is saying, like, hey, I'm going to stay here for now because I do think that Arashikage can be persuaded to join our side, because right now the team that they're opposing, the people trying to get this, it's Cobra. And she's kind of talking about how Cobra's this rising force in the world right now. And this is kind of the first time, I know technically, like, we have had a G.I. Joe member in this book before, but this is the first time where I've really felt like, oh yeah, this is really looping into the Energon universe now. And just that conversation where Jinx is just talking to Scarlett about Cobra really feels like it feels really great and weighty and earned, because Cobra has been building in the background for kind of a while now, and to have this point where one of these characters acknowledges it, like, hey, this organization called Cobra is rising up right now. It's bad. Like, they could be a serious problem. That was cool. I like that. And then so they figure out that the weapon is not actually on the floor that Storm Shadow went to. It's on a different floor going up farther. So they go to that floor, and there's a bunch of Cobra forces there. Storm Shadow meets them up there, and then basically they're like, oh, Cobra Commander's here, and it's going to be a problem or something. Well, not even that. Well, it's the next time says, like, next Cobra Commander, but what actually happens, the Storm Shadow opens up the box, and it's like the Sword of Life or something, and he pulls it out, and he's like, I am Storm Shadow, and I have the Sword of Life. And Scarlett's like, uh-oh, I don't know that I like that look of that. And that's where the issue ends. So it's interesting, because this is written by Kelly Thompson, who is writing Birds of Prey as well, a series that I think is very inconsistent over at DC. This has been incredibly consistent. Just consistently very, very solid. I'm really into this. I've seen some people say that they feel like this is the weakest of the Energon Universe books to this point. I just don't agree. It's not like, it doesn't have, I don't think it has the heights of some of the other series, but I also don't think it has the low points of some of the other series. I think I definitely think there are issues of Void Rivals that are worse than any issue of this. I think there are issues of Destro that are worse than any issue of this. I think while Destro may have an issue that I think is better than the best issue of this, and also has issues where I think the worst issue of Destro is worse than the worst issue of Scarlett. So I do think that this is a very just solid, consistent series. The Storm Shadow fighting through all the people sequence was very cool. I thought it looked very good. It was good to see Scarlett and Jinx actually come together and have a conversation, and again build up Cobra again through this dialogue even more. And I don't really know much about that sword. Again, I'm not very familiar with G.I. Joe, but it seems like it's a big deal. And Cobra Commander's in the next issue, so cool. I mean, I like this. I don't have much to say on it besides that, but just a very solid series, I think. Just good stuff all around.
Yeah, no, I think this one was very good. Specifically, the action sequences, I think they were very good in this one. I really liked the way it's drawn, and it's very straightforward, and it's kind of like, if I had to like say, it's almost like stop motion, but all in one page in a sense. Like it looks like like it's very well drawn out to the point where you see multiple steps in one page. And it's very well illustrated, and it's very straightforward, and it's like super easy to just look at. Whereas some other ones, sometimes other ones can be very hard to discern what really is happening. Not this one. I think they do a very good job of just showing everything that's going on and making it very crystal clear what's going on. I love the fact that Scarlett and Jinx were finally able to talk and have a heart to heart and not be undercover for a second. Was very, very good conversation there going on. And then I've never heard of this sort of life thing. I don't know, Storm Shadow. I've heard of his character before. Obviously I've heard of Scarlett. I don't think I know Jinx. I don't think I've ever heard of her.
No, I definitely don't. Yeah.
But I know. At least I don't know.
Where's Snake Eyes, Sebastian? Where's G.I. Joe Origins Snake Eyes, or whatever the fuck that movie was called?
Was it called that? I think it was called that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I know Snake Eyes.
Or Snake Eyes Origins or something. Yeah.
Something like that. I never even saw that. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah, I didn't see that one. But yeah, I know. I'm pretty sure at some point Storm Shadow is part of Cobra. So
yeah, and I think Snake Eyes is kind of G.I. Joe. Maybe
he is. Yeah. I know he's G.I. Joe, and he is beef with Storm Shadow. But,
yeah, I think we'll see Snake Eyes very briefly next issue.
You think so?
I think so. I think he'll be introduced in a post-credit style sequence.
Well, yeah. So yeah, we'll see. I think this one has been very consistent. Honestly, I think this has been very good so far. Very consistently good. I haven't really had. I think if I had to choose one that I just kind of disliked, it'd be number 2. But that's simply because I just found it. I don't know. I think it's still the one I remember least. I'd say that's really the only reason. But I think this one has been this series has been consistently very good so far. And so yeah, I'd probably give this one. I'd probably give this a 7 again.
I'm gonna give this one an 8 again.
Gosh, gotta stop doing it.
Listen, I'm not doing this because of your score. This is just I marked it while I was talking about it. I'm like, this is gonna be an 8 for me. I'm saying that right now. Yeah.
Dawnrunner it is.
This is Dawnrunner number 5, written by Rom V and the artist is Evan Cagle. And Sebastian, I'm gonna say it right now. This is my pick of the week.
Yeah, finally something I made him read.
Yeah, although to be fair, like, you never would have read this series if I hadn't made you read issue number 1. So
this is true, but I made you stick with it.
That's true. Also, this might be the best cover of the week, actually. Look at that. That cover's sick as hell, man.
It's so good.
So, anyway, I would say, though, a big reason why this issue is my pick of the week is because the art goes so fucking hard. It is ridiculous. Some of the spreads in this issue, particularly that first one where you see Dawnrunner's new form over Tetsa Prime, it's just like, I don't even know. I don't know how to describe it. It's incredible. And a lot of the art in this issue, I kind of don't even know what I'm looking at, but I'm like mesmerized. I'm like, oh my god, this is such good stuff. This is fucking awesome. So a big part of the issue is the fight between Dawnrunner and the Tetsa Prime. She ends up getting help. Anita ends up getting help from this other guy. I don't remember his name, but he was kind of her main rival in the Iron King program or Iron Knight program. And so he kind of comes in to help out, and they kind of both manage to take down the Tetsa Prime. Although Anita's consciousness does not seem to be kind of in there. She's like, I mean, she's clearly there, but it's not clear if she's controlling Dawnrunner. She kind of has just become Dawnrunner, and her and Ichi's minds have kind of merged into one thing. So essentially, the corporate dude gets pissed off about everything, and nobody's kind of listening to him anymore. So he sends a bunch of helicopters to bring Dawnrunner back to base and kind of try and do a hard reset. But Dawnrunner is now also like basically half like mech and like half Tetsa. It's kind of contorted into a Tetsa itself.
Yeah.
Which is why it looks so fucking cool. It has these big, like, glorious wings now. It's glorious. So they're about to kind of come in and try to take Dawnrunner down, but then her rival, this is such a fantastic moment, by the way. I loved this. Her rival's like, listen, man, I want to be at the top of the leaderboard for like most kills, but I want Anita to be there when I do it. So you're not fucking getting her. I'm gonna take all you fuckers down. And then Kat shows up and she's like, yeah, we got 2 of us fuckers. Do you want to fight 2 fucking Iron Knights or Iron Kings? I don't think so. So really cool, great stuff there. I loved that. Ichi and Anita have some, a little bit more of kind of some mind heart-to-heart conversations. Ultimately, once the fight's kind of over, Ichi is able to reconstruct Anita's body, so she's fine. And then he's also able to then get Anita's daughter and like cure her of the illness as well. So they're all fine. It's kind of a happy ending. The Tetsa, well, I mean, I would say mostly. The Tetsa kind of also leave. The ones that stay there are no longer aggressive, and they don't send any more through. There's kind of this ominous thing where it's like, well, maybe they were trying to prepare the human race for something even more terrifying down the line. And that's kind of it. I don't know. Is there anything I'm missing? I don't really think there is.
I think, okay, so technically the daughter didn't survive.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so when they were in the middle of that fight, like basically when Ichi like went, because like towards the end, right, he reconstructed Anita's body, and then he basically took over Dawnrunner, and so he was the one that like took them to the hospital.
Right.
And so when they got there, the daughter's body had basically like shut down. She was like suffering from like multiple organ failure or whatever.
Right.
And so basically, from what I understand, is like basically what Ichi did was that he absorbed the daughter into Dawnrunner, and then like they like interacted for a little bit, but then he basically left Dawnrunner, and so she is Dawnrunner.
Huh. Okay, I didn't see that at all. Because I think because Anita is not like still trapped in Dawnrunner. Like she has a body.
No, she is fine. It's Anita's daughter that is now in Dawnrunner.
I don't know though.
So she can survive.
Because she's like every time I see. So she's just, but does she still have like a physical form or no?
No, I don't think so. That's what I'm saying. Like I think he literally like what he was doing to Anita, like what him and Anita were doing, where like she basically lost her body, right, and she had basically become Dawnrunner. So what he did was like he reconstructed her body like literally to like down to like the millimeter of like literally everything, like even like scars, everything. And then he went and grabbed a daughter who was literally like basically dead and absorbed her so she could survive, so that way, because like obviously Ichi's daughters, they didn't survive, but then he wanted like Anita's daughter to find a way to like survive. So that was basically his way of like letting her survive, was like letting her just like be Dawnrunner now. And so that's why towards the end, when you saw like Anita being like, yeah, me and my daughter go outside the wall every now and then, it's because I'm pretty sure Anita's daughter is Dawnrunner now, and they both like just go outside of the wall.
I mean, it could be. I kind of just interpreted it as he just healed her. But I think, like, I guess it kind of would make sense why he wouldn't have reconstructed like a physical body for her if she had died. Yeah. Because it is kind of mentioned that the reason he was able to do that is for Anita, is because they had spent so much time with their consciousnesses kind of linked, so they knew each other very well, which obviously would not have been the case for Anita's daughter. Either way, though, just really, really fantastic stuff. I do think, like, I don't necessarily understand everything that happened. I couldn't necessarily understand or follow all of the art, but I do just think, like, on the whole, just a really fantastic final issue that combines action and good character moments with incredible, just stunning art. I heard apparently that this same creative team might be doing a DC book, and if that's the case, I'm very excited for that. Whenever that is coming up, I think this is definitely, again, kind of Ram V as a writer I think is good, but whose work doesn't always click with me. This went a long way towards making me like really, really appreciate his work all the more. I recently have been reading his Detective Comics run, his Batman run, which I think is fantastic. And I think this is also a similarly fantastic conclusion to a series that I think on the whole was pretty good, although I didn't love the middle of it.
Okay, yeah. I this one was very, very good. The art in this was just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Just the whole fight scene, like the fight scenes between the Tetsa and like the robots have always it's always been like a little bit hard to follow. This one, it's no exception. It's still a little hard to follow, but it's a bit more straightforward rather than like, because it's mostly just Dawnrunner just absolutely like decimating the Tetsa Prime for the most part, and it's just, you just get these beautiful shots of just like Dawnrunner and like this like new Dawnrunner like Tetsa hybrid, just like absolutely decimating the Tetsa Prime, and just like you get like just, like really very, very, just very good, like the one where you were specifically saying where it's like Dawnrunner just like with its like like wings like fully spread out, just like looking over Tetsa Prime, and just Tetsa Prime is down there just like looking up. It is just, the art in this one was very good. I think they closed out the story very well as well. With basically with like how Anita ended up and how her daughter ended up, and how like just how they concluded like all the characters and how they ultimately like ended up. I think was very, very, very good. They did a very good job of that. And, I think they did a very good job of closing out the world as well, as like, because towards the last page, they were basically saying like, yeah, basically everything for that CEO basically came crashing down. He's like not CEO anymore. Like, what was it? Mara, I think is what her name was, or whatever.
Yeah.
Is like head of research now and stuff. So it's like they closed out like while not like focusing super much on like the side characters, they still gave us like a conclusion to these side characters that we have seen throughout the entire series. So I think they closed out very well with not leaving anything like too open, So yeah, I think overall I've really enjoyed this series. I think this one was very good. It had bits of mystery in there, bits of action, bits of like what the fuck is going on genuinely. But yeah, overall really, really enjoyed this one. I'd give this one a 9 easily.
Yeah, 9 for me as well. Could have been a 10, I think, if I could kind of figure out what was happening a little bit more, but as it stands, I'm gonna give it a 9. Okay, let's move on here, Sebastian, to the Incredible Hulk number 16. Yeah, so it's the first Hulk versus Eldest. We have at the start of this, Hulk is wandering through this city where Eldest is kind of ruling over, and gets there and has kind of this big fight with Eldest, because we find out, actually, I do think this does do a lot of stuff to kind of tie together a lot of the stuff of this run at this point, despite the fact that it's set way in the past. Like, this basically fully explains all of Eldis's motivations and why Eldis has been doing, all these plans for this entire series, which I do think I really appreciate. Because I have kind of been wondering, like, why does Eldis want Hulk? Like, what's, why are we like, well, give me Hulk and Bruce will go free and all that stuff. Like, what's the deal here? And we find out through the course of this fight, because what Eldis can do is kind of possess people, and that's kind of actually mostly what it is. Kind of possess people and bodies, and use that along with immense power to kind of, do all this shit. So Eldis wants the Hulk, both in this previous version and also in the present day, to essentially unleash the Mother of Horrors. So the Mother of Horrors was trapped by the One Below All a long time ago. And that is why Eldis wants Hulk's power, is to unleash that, because, since Hulk is kind of a relic and a relic of the One Below All's realm, Eldis assumes that Hulk can open the area where Mother of Horrors is trapped, and unleash the Mother of Horrors upon the world once again, since Eldis is the child of the Mother of Horrors. So Eldis is able to possess Enkidu and goes to the door to try to open it and let the Mother of Horrors out. But then the One Below All in the past is like, hey, go fuck yourself. You are not going to open this place. The Mother of Horrors is staying there for the foreseeable future, and essentially pushes Eldis out of Enkidu. It does kill Enkidu in the process, but pushes Eldis out of Enkidu, and also kills Eldis, and makes it so that Eldis's consciousness is still there, but Eldis has no physical form anymore. So Eldis kind of drifts for a while, constantly being watched by the One Below All, and then kind of flash back to the future, the present, where we find out that the reason that it all clicks into place, right? Because after the events of Immortal Hulk, the One Below All is not really a factor because the green door has been closed. So now the idea is, since the One Below All is not able to stop Eldis from unleashing the Mother of Horrors, Eldis is now trying to do the same tactic with the current Hulk to open that door, now that the green door is closed and the One Below All cannot interfere. So that is the basically the plot of this issue, and I think it's a good one. I think the art looks good. I like all the mystical, city just atmosphere that is built up there. It's all really detailed. I like that quite a lot. And I think the fight between Eldis and Hulk, it's fine. But I think for me, what really sells this issue is the revelation of all of Eldis's motivations, which I do think helps put a lot of this stuff in perspective. I'm actually very curious, because we know that this next arc is the big conclusion to, I believe, to the fight between Hulk and Eldis. And it seems like, I'm pretty sure that this will kind of close out this first act of this Hulk run, and the Mother of Horrors will return. Hulk will be completely on the back foot. Like, Hulk will have resurrected Charlie, but Hulk will be on the back foot. Eldis might not survive, but the Mother of Horrors will be there, and I think that'll lead us into the next major chapter of this run. I don't know how long this run is going to go for. I kind of don't think it'll be a huge amount of time. This strikes me as kind of the conclusion of the first half of the run. But yeah, regardless, and by this I don't mean this issue, but Incredible Hulk number 19, which is Legacy number 800, in a few issues here. But so anyway, I'm enjoying the fact that we get to see all its motivations. It ties a lot of stuff together from this run to this point, which I appreciate. And yeah, I think, for the past couple of months, this series has been on a better track. I do like where it's going. I think it has some kind of more direction and purpose now, finally, which I really appreciate. And I'm excited to see where it goes next.
No, yeah, this is okay. Yeah, this one was good. This was good. Good backstory. Genuinely, it was well done. Unlike the Frozen Charlotte one, which
your hatred for that arc is just I'm constantly
it's not uncalled for. It is not uncalled for. It was bad.
That arc is not great. I'm just surprised you're still like hung up on it to that degree.
Yeah, genuinely, me too. Honestly, it keeps coming back whenever I review a new one. It's haunting me forever. But yeah, this one it did a very good job of explaining like the motivations. It also references the Immortal Hulk. Immortal Hulk?
Immortal Hulk,
Or
yeah.
Hulk, yeah.
I might have called it Immortal Thor earlier accidentally. I'm not sure, but Immortal Hulk, yeah.
Oh, I was about to say Invincible Hulk. That's why I said Immortal again. Like I was like,
no, that's typically an Iron Man adjective.
Yeah, that's why I was like, no, but yeah, Immortal Hulk run with the obviously the Green Door, but that's like always been like a whole thing for the most part, I think.
No, that's mostly been an Immortal Thor thing.
Immortal Hulk
fucking hell, yeah.
Thing, yeah. But yeah, referencing that again, like basically like you were saying, the motivations behind Eldest, and the fact that like yes. So if I'm getting this correctly, right, Enkidu, they opened the Green Door there, right? Or was it that they closed it there?
No, so I don't believe it was Enkidu who opened the Green Door. I think it was when Eldest took over Enkidu's body to try and unleash the Mother of Horrors. The one below all opened the Green Door to then try and stop that from happening.
Okay, but Eldest in Enkidu's body was trying to open the Green Door, though, right?
No. Eldest wanted to keep the Green Door closed because that's the way that the one below all could get to Eldest. Eldest was just trying to open the door that was holding the Mother of Horrors.
Okay.
Yeah, just the Mother of Horrors and the one below all are old enemies, and that's why. So that's why he Eldest wanted to try and keep the one below all from getting involved. Yeah.
Okay, so now that the Green Door is closed again,
exactly,
Eldest wants Hulk's body again to try and okay, makes sense. But like theoretically, don't like the one below all or whatever like just do the exact same thing?
Well, no, because that's the thing, because the Green Door is now permanently closed, so the one below all has no way to do that, because the Green Door was the only access point. Yeah.
Is that an Immortal Hulk thing that it's permanently closed? That's an Immortal
Hulk thing, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. All right, see, that brings in some clarity here. But still very good. It was good. I liked it. It was a good, good backstory arc here. Explained a lot. Did a good job of explaining, and so I really don't have a lot to say on that besides that, genuinely. I don't think we got a lot of body like horror this one.
No, not really.
Not really. But I think this was pretty good. I'd give it an 8.
I think I'm gonna give it I'll give it an 8. I was almost gonna go 7, but I do think like I know I gave the last one an 8. And I do appreciate that we got a lot of answers about Eldest's motivations. So I'll give this one an 8, probably a low 8, but I did still think it's probably an 8.
All right, let's talk about Immortal Thor.
This is Immortal Thor number 15, written by Al Ewing, and the artist is Jen Bazaldua. So I actually want to ask you right off the bat what you thought of this, because I get the feeling we haven't talked about this, but I was reading this. And the entire time I was reading it, I was like, I think Sebastian is hating this.
No, so it was, if I remember correctly, it was that, Thor went back to Asgard. Or he banished Loki. I remember that.
Yeah.
He went back to Asgard, and Enchantress was there.
Yeah.
And I don't really remember what. Oh, she's basically, her entire reason for doing all of this to Thor is the fact that Thor let her son die at some point or whatever, and he won't bring him back to life because he died like in battle, so he went to Valhalla essentially. And so she's mad that he won't bring him back to life. So she's like, that's basically her motivation for doing this.
Kind of. I mean, I do think that the one thing is that I think she was it's not as much that she was pissed at Thor for letting her son die, which happened in Strange Academy, by the way.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that her son died in Strange Academy, the original Strange Academy series.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about like the vampire.
Not the Blood Hunt tie-in. No. Yeah. No. So it was more that Thor was not there as the Allfather when her son died, because that is his duty as Allfather to be there. Yeah, that's why she was mad at him. Yeah, but like, what did you think of the issue? Because I got the impression when I was reading, especially that conversation between Enchantress and Thor, I was like, Sebastian's probably bored out of his mind right now.
Kind of. Like, it was nice to know her like reason behind it. So it was like, I wasn't that bored with it, but like, no, I generally really wasn't that bored with it, actually.
Yeah.
It was like interesting. It was like interesting to know her reasoning behind it. I didn't realize they were like lovers at some point. I guess
Yeah,
that was like
they're
news to
pretty
me.
flirty in this issue. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of new to me. I always thought Enchantress was like a Loki thing. So that
Oh
was
no, I don't think they've ever really been romantically involved.
yeah. I don't know why I thought that. I don't know. But yeah. So I was like, oh, I kind of like threw my knowledge for a whirl there. I don't know where I really got that other one, but yeah, that was like, oh, okay. But yeah, I didn't I mean like besides that, really, like nothing truly like besides like Thor banished Loki. I assume he's gonna pop up somewhere because he really didn't put up much of a fight. Besides that, I felt like kind of felt like he wanted Thor to do it, you know? No, I feel like that was pretty much it though, wasn't it?
Not really. There's kind of this issue kind of a lot of shit went down actually. To be fair, it kind of does feel like did you read the previous issue by the way? Because we didn't talk about that issue. That was the week we didn't cover.
Shit, did I? Wait, shit, did I?
You might have skipped issue 14.
Oh fuck! I thought the last one was that like giant-sized one.
No, number 14 was the last one where he fought Zeus.
Oh my god, I skipped it.
Okay. Okay. Well, this picks up immediately after that, where Thor has absorbed the power of Zeus during that fight. And in the process of that, Zeus has also gone fucking crazy. And so when Thor, because Zeus saw like the whole wheel turning thing, all of that, the wheel turning, all of that, the wheel of Tornos, Zeus saw all of that happening. And so Zeus kind of went fucking crazy. And so Thor inherits both Zeus's power and his personality. So Zeus is yelling in Thor's ear and is like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you, Thor. The wheel's turning. It's coming for you all." And so Thor kind of is seeing the wheel kind of turning a little bit, but also manages to condense the power of Zeus into his belt of strength. Which I don't know if Sebastian remembers this, but the belt of strength is a classic Thor thing from like the '60s. Marvel Comics. It's probably in the original myth as well. I'm not sure, but the belt of endurance or strength or whatever has not been around for a while. So that was kind of fun to see, I guess. But yeah, then Thor does banish Loki, which is an incredible scene. I loved this scene so much because Thor is talking to Loki. He's like, "Hey, you have like endangered my friends and a bunch of just like mortals and everything. I no longer trust you." Even in the, again, Loki asked that question way back in the like second issue about like, does Thor trust Loki even as Thor's enemy? But yeah, Sebastian's right. Loki is kind of egging Thor on, but at the same time as being like, think about what you do next very carefully. Because if Loki's gone, shit's fucked, essentially is the implication. And so Thor does banish Loki, and immediately the caption box is saying how like a chill just immediately passes through Thor and follows him all the way to Asgard. Again, just building up a sense of foreboding and ominous. Just it's so like masterfully crafted in the narration boxes, and just in general, this is something I haven't really thought about. But the narration in this series, I fucking love because the narrator is like constantly taunting the reader. The narrator's always like, "Would you know more? Would you know more?" It's like there's even a point literally in this issue where we see an image of the wheel turning, and the narrator's just like, "Do you get it yet?" Like I love that shit. It's so cool, and it always builds up this mystery so well, and it builds up this ominous feeling. So yeah, this is the whole thing between Thor and Enchantress, and then it ends with people resurrecting the Minotaur, which was part of the Minotaur's plan. Part of the Minotaur's plan, it seems. Also, it seems that Enchantress wants Thor to let Scourge die for him. But yeah, the Minotaur gets resurrected. There's a narration box saying like Thor's doom was sealed. And then the other thing is, I had assumed that Enchantress had faked the Minotaur's death to frame Thor, but it doesn't seem like that. She genuinely seems to think he's dead. So I'm curious to see how that'll kind of throw all this, stuff out of whack. I don't know. I'm talking about this very excitedly. I actually don't love this issue. I think it's not bad, but it's not my favorite. I think the first half is excellent, but I do think the conversation between Enchantress and Thor, it's long. It's like half the issue, and it does feel like it drags a little bit. It's well written. The dialogue's good, but it does feel like it dragged a little bit for me. But the fact that the Minotaur's back, I think that's cool. I'm interested to see how that kind of impacts things. He's kind of seemingly going to make a whole league to take down Thor, including the radioactive man. So it's going to be a bunch of like classic early Thor villains. I'm excited to see the Minotaur stuff come back into play in the series. It's been kind of some Utgard stuff for a while now, so I'm glad to see us kind of shifting back to that other stuff. But yeah, solid issue, I do think. And I think the banishment of Loki and the implications that seems to be already causing, that's cool. It does seem to imply that because Loki is gone, that's going to lead to Thor's death. Which, like, I mean, like, that's fine. I do think, like, the threat of death for a superhero is not a super compelling plot line, even if it's in, like, a prophecy, because it's like, superheroes die all the fucking time, so it's not like anything new or special. But regardless, solid issue, I think. Again, not my favorite, but I do think it is building to some cool stuff. I trust Al Ewing a lot to take this story in some very good directions. Also, killer cover from Alex Ross. So yeah, solid issue, but not my favorite of the series.
I missed a lot, apparently. I kind of completely, I really forgot about that whole Zeus thing at the beginning, genuinely. Yeah. Like, I understood the fact that he absorbed his powers. I kind of spaced the whole, I thought it had just been so long since I had read, like, the last Thor one that I just, like, forgot about it. So, but, like, I understood the fact that he was, like, absorbing Zeus's power or whatever. And yeah, basically everything besides that, like, you know, I understood it. You know, yes, the whole the conversation with Loki. I have actively loved Loki this entire series. Genuinely, I think he's been like one of the best parts of this series. Especially with his narration. I think it just does such a good job.
Is Loki the narrator? I can't quite tell. Sometimes I think that's the case.
I'm not sure he is. I'm pretty sure he is. That's how I've been taking it. Is that he's been basically storytelling this entire thing as like the narrator. And so those narration like boxes that we get sometimes, like it's just very good dialogue. It's very good, very well written. And then and then I completely forgot about the Minotaur coming back too at the very end. Actually. Yeah, I don't know. I don't care about that really. I don't know. I don't like Minotaur as a character is like fine and all, but I find him a little confusing as a character. I don't know. And then Enchantress stuff and other stuff, and then I forgot about the belt as well. Yeah, so that it's like, but essentially the belt is even like stronger now, is what he was saying. Like it protects them even more now, or whatever.
But it's also imbued with Zeus's power, so he's gonna kind of be careful of it.
Yeah. So I mean, I think this one was pretty, like, it had its ups and then it had its downs. The Loki bit was definitely an up. The Enchantress bit was like kind of okay for me. Like it wasn't like really good, but it wasn't like boring like a lot of other like where, because it was very dialogue. That conversation was dialogue heavy. But it wasn't like boring like a lot of other times where like comics do like very dialogue heavy like parts. It wasn't. I didn't find it that boring, and I don't know if it was just because she was explaining her motivations or what. I will say I got tired of reading in like the old English a bit at times, where I was just like, oh god, I can't. Man, it's tiring. But it was Besides that, I think this one was like it was okay. It was okay. It was kind of like a middle chapter in a sense.
Yeah.
I'd place it. Yeah, it was like a middle in between two things. So I think this one was all right. I'd give it a 7.
I'm gonna give it an 8, a low 8, but tentatively an 8. Okay, I'm gonna go on to the thing that I made Sebastian read this week, which is Minor Arcana, issue number 1. Written by and drawn by Jeff Lemire. So I'm a big Jeff Lemire fan. That's why I put this series up. And the plot here, it's pretty simple. Essentially, it's the story about this one person who goes back to her hometown after years away living in, I believe, New York City.
Yes, I think so.
Because her mother is sick and needs her to kind of go and help her out with stuff. It turns out her mom's a psychic, and what she wants the help for is to come and run the psychic shop in her stead. And so it's kind of a lot of drama between the main character, whose name is Teresa, and her mom. That's a big part of the issue, is drama between them, and just Teresa feeling miserable and not wanting to be back in that town. And then also because she doesn't believe in any of the psychic stuff. Like, she's not, having grown up around that stuff, like, she knows how to do it, but she's not, she doesn't believe in any of it. And so in the middle of the night, one of her mom's customers comes up and asks her mom to do a reading, but her mom is asleep and not feeling well. So Teresa reluctantly does it in her mom's stead. and then seems to get transported to this weird, like, black and white, like, faded realm where somebody's kind of watching her. And that's the end of the issue. And immediately, for most of this issue, I would say I thought it was fine. I think it was good, but I do think that, it was a lot of setup and setting up this world, setting up these characters, and it was good setup, but I do think it was kind of slow and was a little bit of a kind of, not even dense, but kind of just arduous read, sifting through everything and getting entrenched in that world. But that ending fucking ruled. Like, I was all on board with that. I was like, this is cool. It's creepy. It's exactly the kind of stuff that I like from a Jeff Lemire story. And so I ended up really being excited for the next issue. I wasn't feeling like a huge amount of excitement from this series at first. I was going to give it a few more issues regardless, because I really like Jeff Lemire. But that ending, I think, really did kind of bolster my excitement for it. The art is very unique. It is Jeff Lemire has a very distinct style for his art. He doesn't draw everything that he writes, but he does draw some of the stuff he writes. And I'm not sure that I like it. It is very unique, and I appreciate the artistry behind it. Like, it's well drawn. Stylistically, I just don't know if it's my thing. But yeah, the ending did really help me come to appreciate this and get excited for the next issues. I don't think this first issue is amazing, but I think it's a very solid start, a foundation to build off of that. I think you can go to some very cool places.
Yeah, actually, I had looked into this one, and then he told me to read it, and I was like, okay, I was fine with this, because I was genuinely interested in this one, and I think it's pretty good. The drawing kind of throws me off a bit, mostly their faces, but like besides that, I like the art on it. It feels very, like, I wouldn't know how to, like, I wouldn't say creepy per se.
Yeah.
But like it like creepy adjacent almost. And so yeah, I like the like you're saying, the biggest part of this first issue was just her, like, the tension of her essentially being back in town, because it's not even just with her mom, it's just the town in general, because she snaps at the diner waitress, and she went back and was like, listen, I do remember you, like, yada yada, like, maybe we'll see each other around, like, she doesn't want to be back in this town. She generally does not like it here. And that, and also the fact that I think partially it doesn't help the fact that, like, we learned that, like, basically her life in New York City is, like, falling apart as well. Like, she just lost her job. She, I think, like, just ended a relationship with her girlfriend, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And then she also being back in the town also reminds her of her grandpa, which we saw a little flashback of him as well. And then, then we get to the whole psychic bit towards the end. And then we get to that creepy little tower, like, black and white world thing. For the most part, I actually really enjoyed this one. I think it was very interesting. Nothing boring at all about it, actually. It was very, very simple read, very easy read, and it definitely was very interesting. It's a very interesting story so far, I think. And so I'm excited to read more of this one. But rating, I'd probably give it. I'd give it an 8, high 8 here.
I'm gonna give it a middle of the road 7. I think it is solid, but again, that last, I think honestly it probably would have been a 6 for me if not for that last kind of little bit.
Wow,
I do appreciate what it was doing, laying the foundations down. I just found it to be a little bit slow until the kind of end of it, which I did really, really like.
All right, let's go Exceptional X-Men.
This is written by Eve Ewing, no relation to Al Ewing, I don't believe. And the artist is Carmen Carnero. This is the as it would seem, it's the next first issue from the next X-Men book of the From the Ashes era. The first one we've had in kind of a while. I believe the last one was X Factor, which we didn't talk about because we were gone that week. But so then Uncanny X-Men would have been the last one we talked about, the new number 1 for that. This one, of the 3 main X-Men books, is definitely the one I was looking the least forward to, just because I don't know. I haven't read much from this writer. Sebastian's read more than I have, because do you know who this writer, what this writer also wrote, Sebastian?
I'm finding it.
I'll just tell you right now, it's the Black Panther series that you hated.
So I've read I read like 2 or 3 of those.
That's more than I read. So yeah, so it's the same writer. Because of my lack of knowledge on the creative team, particularly the writer, I wasn't super excited for this. Also, this is the team that is like kind of the least stacked because it's Kitty Pryde. Now going by Kitty Pryde again. She was Kate for most of the Krakoan era, but she's now back to going by Kitty.
Is there a reason for that one?
Just as she was like, I think it was something like she was like, I went by Kitty when I was literally like a child, and now I'm an adult, so I'm just gonna go by Kate now.
Okay.
I don't remember that. I could be wrong. And so it's Kitty, it's Emma Frost, although she's in like 2 pages of this issue. This cover is very misleading. Emma is front and center on the cover. She's in like 2 pages. Kitty and this other person whose name is Trista.
Damn, I was off on that one.
She's in it. But then these other 2 characters off to the right side of the cover are just not in the issue at all. This issue, essentially, a large part of it is Kitty just dealing with the post-Krakoa fallout, which I did appreciate. If you've been listening to us talk about this X-Men era, you would know that I am kind of not loving how a lot of this era has just kind of ignored Krakoa. That is fixing itself as it's going along. They're kind of mentioning that more often now, so I am having less of a problem with that. But it's Kitty just being sad about Krakoa. She's a bartender in Chicago now, just kind of trying to keep busy and not think about mutant stuff, but she's being constantly kind of reminded about it. And so she goes out to this concert. She accidentally goes to the wrong concert. She gets the dates mixed up and goes to a different band than the one she meant to go to, where she sees some person, this Trista person, being denied entry to the concert. Trista manifests mutant powers. And so this guy, the security guard, the bouncer, tries to shoot her, and that's when Kitty gets involved. She's like, all right, fuck it, I'll go help out. So using her phasing powers, she helps Trista escape, and then they kind of become friends a little bit, and that's kind of it for the issue, actually. It does do there's a point where it says the end. I don't know why it did this, actually. I'm actually confused about this, because it says the end, and then the next panel on the next page just says lol JK, and I'm like, what's the point of that? But it shows Emma basically just going through mentally searching through a whole bunch of mutants and finding Kitty and being like, all right, you're gonna become an X-Men with me now or something. And that's the end of the issue. So I do think like this was definitely a more solid issue than I was kind of expecting. I don't think it's amazing. I do think of the 3 core X-Men books, this has the weakest number 1, but not by a lot. And I do, again, appreciate that it is so focused on Kitty just dealing with the emotional ramifications of Krakoa falling. I thought that was all really good. I thought that was genuinely good. I didn't care as much for the stuff with Trista. It was fine, but it just kind of felt like this, whoa, hey, let's go and phase through this concert. Let's have a fun little, not fun, but a whole adventure, phasing and trying to escape from all these guys. And that was a little bit less interesting to me. And I also do think, like, shout out to the art. The art's fantastic. That was the reason I was most excited for this book, because I really like this artist. She worked on a Captain America run from not too long ago that I think was quite good. But yeah, I don't have much to say besides that. Solid enough issue, I think. I do, at least, this does feel like it has a clear direction and a place where it's going, whereas I don't feel like that's the case with all the X-Men books, so I do appreciate that at least. Definitely not bad, but not kind of an amazing read for me, I don't think.
Yeah, I think this one was pretty good. I think it was fine. You know, Kitty like basically trying to just live a normal life, and you know, kind of just for the not for the most part failing at it. I think she's like for the most part she's actually doing a pretty good job of it. You know, because even like with the Trista thing, she wasn't gonna step in even after she showed that she was a mutant, until the fact that the security guard pulled the gun.
Yeah.
You know, but besides that, she was just going to walk away and just continue about her normal life. But it was at that point that she knew, like, okay, if someone's going to die, then I should probably step in here. But, yeah, I think this one was fine. I think they did a good job of showing how, like, her struggling to live a normal life and how, like, monotonous it is. I think she, like, was, like, going on about. And so, yeah, just, like, her, like, also, like, the concert thing, like, her having mixed up the dates and just like going through like the normal mundane life woes, you know. But yeah, I genuinely don't know where this one is going, honestly.
I think this is basically just going to be the New Mutants, essentially. This seems like it's going to be, because I don't think we're going to have a New Mutants book, but this seems like it's going to be kind of the New Mutants esque book where it's just going to be Kitty and Emma training a group of younger mutants. It doesn't necessarily set up a bunch of plot beats going forward, but I do feel like a mission statement here of just Kate kind of trying to, live a normal life away from the X-Men and slowly getting dragged back and training this new team. It feels like a more concrete mission for the title than like something like the first issue of X-Men, which is just like save mutants, I guess. I don't fucking know. So
gotcha. Yeah. And so I thought Emma and Kitty don't get along though.
They don't really. They kind of made some strides to reconcile during the Krakoan era. They had a lot of screen time together actually there. But it does seem like there's still going to be quite a bit of conflict in this series between them as well. I mean, the cover of issue number 3, it's literally just them like about to throw hands. So.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. There's that. Then, but yeah, I think this one was besides that, I think this one was fine. I didn't mind reading it. I think the whole phasing through like the buildings or whatever was fun-ish, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of nice to see her powers coming through. I thought she had a dragon as well.
Lockheed. Although Lockheed. I've always more associated Lockheed with magic, but I am seeing comments saying that Lockheed is missing, so maybe that is more of a Kitty thing.
I always associated Lockheed with Kitty.
Maybe it's just because I've seen New Mutants where Lockheed is Magic's pet, so.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Besides that, I'd probably give it, I'd probably just give it a 7, genuinely. Yeah.
I'm also going to give it a 7, yeah. And that would lead us, Sebastian, to the final issue of the episode, which is The Ultimates number 4, written by Dennis Camp, and the artist is Phil Noto. So, ultimately, this series is mostly, or not the series, this issue is mostly, not intentionally. I brought this up on an episode a few weeks ago. We keep saying this. You do it as well. Ultimate books, we just keep saying ultimately. I just say it a lot in this show, and yeah, it's just every time I'm editing an Ultimate issue section, I always am like, god damn it. But so yeah, this issue is about the origin of this version of Doom, which is it's Reed Richards in this Ultimate universe. And ultimately what we find out here is that is that the reason that Reed is Doom in this universe is because the Maker went in, fucked up the math of the space launch that gave the Fantastic Four their powers. So that really fucked everything up. I mean, Sue essentially just lost all mental faculties. Ben killed himself, I believe, and Johnny died in the crash.
Yeah.
So then Reed got captured by the Maker, and the Maker just turned him into Doom. He put the mask on and just kept telling him you're Doom and torturing him until he agreed to being Doom. And then so we have kind of Doom watching this in the present on the screen, and then we also have Doom gets into an argument with Tony over using the time machine and all that stuff, and essentially they're trying to develop a serum to give the Fantastic Four powers again. And they're testing that on mice. That's what the cover's all about. Mm-hmm. Fantastic cover as well, by the way. The use of white space in this cover is excellent. I love it.
Very good.
But so that's kind of all there is to say about the plot. The plot's fine. I think it's cool that we get to see the origin of this character, build out the backstory, give some more clear and concrete motivations. However, I think basically the entire reason this issue is interesting, to me at least, is because of how it's structured. This is, every so often you get a comic that plays with the medium of comics in a way that is just, you can't do this with any other medium, right? Because in this issue, we have each page is 4 wide panels that cross the entire page. And you can read it either down, top to bottom, like you do a normal comic, or you can read it left to right across the entire first strip of the top. Essentially, you can read the entire first strip across the entire issue, then go back to the start, read the entire second strip. That's how it's told sequentially, because each of these different panels is from a different time. It's the past leading up to the launch is the top panel of every page. The past of the showing the actual launch is the second panel of every page. The shot of Doom watching the crash is the third panel of every page. And the last panel of every page is the present day stuff where Doom is talking to Tony. And it continues across the entire issue. So I read this top to down the way you would any normal comic. I wanted to read this twice and see which one read better. I have a feeling left to right across the entire top strip, then second, then third, then fourth is maybe the way it flows better. Although I do think there are some moments Ben's jumping off into the crater and killing himself. I think that plays better in the top to bottom format, but I think the rest of it could benefit from reading it left to right across like that. And I really wanted to do that, but that is just fucking fascinating to me. I love when comics play with the structure in such a way that is unique and refreshing. Like, I've never seen anything like this in any comic before. It's so cool. Structurally, I'm all about this. And that is kind of why I came away from this issue appreciating it as much as I did. I think the plot and the contents of the issue are good, but for me, it's the unique factor of how this issue is structured and how it plays with the medium of comics to do something new. That's what I love about this. So, as an issue itself, solid. As just something to dissect as a comic and as this kind of piece of media that structurally shapes things differently, I think it's incredible.
Yeah, that does not translate well to online. I will tell you that right now.
Yeah, I'm sure it didn't. I was going to ask about that. Yeah.
Yeah, how did I say this? It's not that it's hard to follow, but I will say it is a bit more difficult than normal. It feels like it jumps around a lot.
Yeah.
And that's simply due to the fact of like how you were saying, like the way they like did the flow of this issue. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, I got it. I didn't understand that part that you said that the maker is the one that actually messed up the math.
Yeah, you see a panel where he goes in and he changes some of the numbers on the board that Reed was writing it all on.
Okay, yeah, I missed that part. I just genuinely thought that in this universe, this is what happened in the Fantastic Four, and then the maker just took the Reed and made him into Doom, because after he had suffered all that loss.
Right.
But I understand now that it's the maker that caused all that loss, and then he, made him Doom anyway. But yeah, it was basically the Doom, Doom watching back what Maker did to him, basically, and then trying to make the Fantastic Four, like a new Fantastic Four or whatever, like trying to do the experiment with the powers, and it's just not working, and he's like frustrated or whatever, I'm pretty sure. And then I think him and Iron Lad like argue over the time machine because like Doom wants to go back in time to fix it, right? If I'm not mistaken. And Iron Lad says no because of a reason that I don't remember or probably understand.
Because it got some people killed when they did that. Remember, they tried to give like Fantastic Four powers to somebody else or something, and then they tried to give superpowers to some other people who were supposed to have them, but at that point in their lives it just didn't work, and they all like just either went crazy or died somehow. Like Peter was kind of the only one that worked out from that.
Oh, okay. I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I didn't understand that one either then. But yeah, I think this one was fine. Very grim, kind of a grim backstory here, genuinely. But yeah, I think overall it's fine. I'm realizing I missed the last issue of this.
I was about to ask, did you read in number 3? It would have been less apparent to you because this is kind of disconnected from that last story where they recruit She-Hulk.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, they recruited She-Hulk.
Yeah.
I thought she was evil.
No, they recruit her. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I think another one was fine. I think it's. I think, another one that's just fine for me, honestly. I don't really have much to say on this one, besides that fact that, it was, I thought it was fine. I thought it was pretty good. Did not translate very well to, reading online. I will say that. Felt like it jumped around a lot, but I think that's just because of the way I had to read it. I don't think that's truly how they meant it to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's for me, it's going to be a 7. Again, I gave a lot of 7s this week.
For me, it's going to be an 8. I gave a lot of 8s this week. Okay. That would wrap it up for this episode of the podcast. Next week, it is, we definitely got some more stuff. We got stuff like Absolute Power, more stuff, particularly Task Force 7, number 6. That series is about to wrap up pretty soon. Also, the Green Lantern tie-in for Absolute Power is also next week. We also have the conclusion to Ain't No Grave. Very good series. Excited to see how that goes. It's the final conversation between Ryder and Death. We have the next issue of Captain America already. Excited for that. Speaking of conversation between people and Death, Captain America's going to be fighting Death, I think, probably here. We also have the 25th issue of the Department of Truth, which is where I believe it's going to show what really went down at the Kennedy assassination in the series. I'm very excited about that series. Fantastic stuff. Great series, and I'm very much looking forward to that. That's a huge milestone in the series. Next issue of Geiger, whatever. We'll see if Sebastian catches up. You're like 3 issues behind at this point, I think.
I don't like this series.
I know you don't. Are you even going to bother to catch up?
Yeah.
Okay. We also have there's a new series from Distillery next week called Time Awaits. I don't know what it's about really, other than it's written by Chip Zdarsky, so I'm very excited for that. We also have the next issue of Transformers. This, I think, is going to be a big one. It's kind of, I think, a culmination of the story arc, the last issue of the story arc. Just to let you know, Sebastian, last issue was in the week we missed, so don't forget to read number 11 as well.
I will remember to read number 11.
Yeah. Then Ultimate Black Panther. Fuck this series. Just kidding. It's fine, but I don't like it that much. Also, oh my lord, Sebastian, Uncanny X-Men number 2 is next week. I have been so fucking excited for this issue since reading number 1. I love this series. And it's only been one issue.
I don't know, man.
I love it so much.
I like it a bit too much. I think
it's perfect. That first issue is a perfect fucking superhero comic. I don't care what you say. Then we also have the finale of Vengeance of the Moon Knight. Very excited for this. At the end of the last issue, that was also another one we missed last month. But the end of the last issue, Conchu was basically like, Mark, you gotta go and kill that imposter Moon Knight. So I'm excited for that. That should be cool. And then also the start of the next Wolverine solo series is next week. The artist is Martin Kokolo, who was the artist on Immortal Thor for a while. Excited about that. The writer is Saladin Ahmed, writer of Daredevil. And I don't know. I want to like this. I hope it's good. But Saladin Ahmed is not instilling a lot of confidence in me after reading his Daredevil run. So, yeah, anything on your end that you would like to shout out, Sebastian?
Let's see. We got Spider-Gwen, the Ghost Spider number 5.
Sebastian's favorite.
We got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 2.
I might be reading this. I'm undecided yet.
We got Blood Hunters number 2. And we got Batman and Robin number 13.
As mentioned, that will wrap it up for the episode. Thank you again, as always, everybody, for watching or listening. If you are on YouTube, you can, of course, leave the video a like if you enjoyed it. You can also subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of our videos. And you can also hit the bell notification if you want to be notified when we post new videos, so you do not miss any. You can also leave a comment, letting us know what you're thinking about some of the comments from the recent period, what some of your favorites are, if we have any that we are not reading that we should be reading that you really enjoy. And you can also get in contact with us at our email address, which is earthsmightiestcomicsPod@gmail.com. That is all one word. And, of course, you can also follow the show over on Spotify if you'd like to, so that you do not miss any new episodes over there. So, yeah, thank you as always, and we'll see you all in the next episode.